The bots are also getting a seat in the table. How are people taking it? When and how to evaluate a transformation projects?
Where does your transformation project sit? Does it sit in the cost side or does it sit in the benefit side? There are many techniques or there are many framework for setting up a KPI.
Companies today are investing in AI, automation, and new operating models at a record scale. But how? Only a few organizations successfully create meaningful business impact from these investments. Welcome to Beyond the Bottomline podcast. And joining us today is Suryasnata Mohapatra, a distinguished enterprise transformation leader with nearly 2 decades of experience driving large scale digital modernization across banking, retail, and aviation. Currently, she is leading digital and AI transformation at Lowe's India GCC. Lowe's is world's second largest home improvement retailer and an $86 billion company, where she is at the forefront of enterprise AI, digital transformation, and operational strategy. And to steer this interesting conversation, we have with us our host, Subu Rao, CEO and founder of DiscoverDollar AI. Subu is an AI and analytics innovator, helping Fortune 500 companies unlock millions of dollars across source to pay operations through Discover Dollars intelligent decision systems. Surya and Subbu, welcome to Beyond the Bottom Line podcast.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you for having us. Hello,
Thank you.
Subu.
Thank you, Pratik. Hi, Surya. Look forward for a good conversation today.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It has to be an interesting conversation, Subbu and Surya. So, Subbu, the stage is all yours, and I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, Surya, I was just going through your profile. You sit on a very interesting intersection of AI, enterprise transformation, retail, GCC, and a product play as well. Can you give me a little more for the audience to understand a little more on what you do?
Yeah. First of all, Subbu, thanks for summarizing my 20 years of experience in one sentence. That's actually all the domains I've worked. And as you mentioned, that what I'm sitting now, it's a very interesting role. But I think the way industry is going or the way the industry is moving, we are at a position where new roles or new capabilities are being discovered, are being created by not just GCC but big organizations, and that is where I will consider myself. I will still call myself a learner. In my 2 decades of experience, I started as a developer, and the technologies that I was working 20 years ago are kind of extinct right now. But yes, that has created room for me to learn new things, grow into different things. And as you had mentioned, I worked in multiple domains like aviation. I worked in a couple of banks and also retail. So that's definitely interesting. And talking about role, as I was talking about, we are discussing about AI and digital transformation. There is something new that's coming every day. There is a new technology coming every day. And what are these technologies capable of? I believe even the creators themselves are not aware. Even the creator themselves are learning what are the new tools and technologies capable of. So my role, I will say, is to experiment. What I'm trying best is to experiment with everything that's new and how it can add value to the people, how it can add value to the organization's bottom line. That's something I will say in a nutshell, my current role I'm working on. So I believe that either answered your questions or made you more curious.
Yeah, definitely a very well put out. And you said everything which adds to the bottom line. Our podcast is also named as Beyond the Bottom Line. So we'll have both the conversations as we
Absolutely.
go about. So, no, I completely agree. It's a great opportunity for all of us to look from an opportunity. This a disruption means both challenge and an opportunity coming our way. Um, so, one thing which comes on top of my mind right now is when we all speak about AI, and at least the audience and the folks whom I talk to, right, on a everyday basis, Most of them are speaking about, when they speak about AI, it's largely to do with the experiments and pilots or a small scale things. But at an enterprise, what does a AI mean in terms of scale, in terms of impact? Anything you can bring out? So yeah.
Sure, that's definitely a very interesting questions. Now, when it comes to experimentation, definitely that will be necessary, because without the room for mistake or without the room for trying out something new, you cannot think about a large scale innovation. So no matter what is the size of your company, or whether you are a solopreneur, even you are a student, experiment is something should be part of your day-to-day life. But when we talk about scale, or when we talk about enterprise level adoption, the bigger question is, what problem are we trying to solve? Because your problem statement cannot be implementation of xyz tool, or your problem statement, your transformation goal should not be adoption of particular tool. It should ultimately, somewhere it should align with your business goal. It should align with the, you do have stakeholders, you do have people who have invested, and what is it, you are using their money, you are using a big amount of the shareholders money into trying something new. So what is the return on that investment? What is the value that you are providing back to the organization, providing back to your stakeholder? So for a large enterprise, when we talk about adoption, the question is, what problem are you solving with the adoption, with the transformation, or how are you improving yourself? Ultimately, how is your transformation helping the organization's business goal or revenue goals? That would be something I would say.
Right. And the next thing which comes to my mind as I speak to people also is the everyone is under pressure to use AI, to implement AI in every area possible. So they're confused which use case to take, which one not to take. Is there a kind of a framework or a kind of a guideline or a kind of maybe a process or a system which you can suggest how to pick up or write your AI use cases?
Yes. So that is where comes the very basic, fundamental of decision making or prioritization techniques. So I do have an agile background. I do have a background where I have helped leaders prioritize their, initiatives or their work. So AI or not, you should have a technique of prioritization. It should either help you make, in simple terms, it should either help you make more money, or reduce the friction, or save the effort.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
these are the three things which any a leader or any group can try to prioritize which initiative they should work on. And if you are running out of ideas, or if you are thinking that, hey, none of this is making any sense, I'll give a very simple example. All of us have customers, if not customer, external or internal. Pick up a pain point which is causing a lot of problem. A very simple
Hmm.
example will be, look into your own ticketing tool and look into the maximum number of tickets you are resolved. It could be any simple as an infrastructure issue. It could be something like your own employees asking for help in some specific issue. So those problems will help you identify a problem statement, something which you will see which occurs again and again, something which has been a pain point either for your customer or for your own team. If you can think of a tool to solve that problem, that will help you.
You want to say how a KPI has to be set up? Because if you're saying that's the most important part, uh, how we set a KPI for a transformation project becomes extremely important. Um,
Yeah. Um, yeah, definitely there are many techniques, or there are many framework for setting up a KPI. I would not go into any framework, but what we can say is that there are a couple of behavioral aspects also. That means, how is your team's dynamic feeling? Like, are is your team able to take part in those decision making? Are your leaders? One very simple, tool or idea is that in your annual or PLN statement, where does your transformation project sit? Does it sit in the cost side or does it sit in the benefit side? That is a very, very crude or easiest way of defining whether your project is successful, or I would not call it a failure, but in
Right.
simple numbers that defines your success. But many times it is not the absolute number. Sometimes, let's say earlier, for example, one very thing that we are experimenting is,
Mhm.
earlier we used to have teams of 10 team member. They were working on something for, let's say, 1 month. Now we are having pods, we are having AI pods, which something we are experimenting is having 3 or 4 human and maybe 1 or 2 bots, and how together they are able to work. Earlier teams were working on 2 week sprint, but now this AI pod, they are able to deliver the same on 1 week in a extreme prototyping manner. Earlier,
Yeah.
let's say your development effort was, let's say, 70% and your testing effort was 30%. Now of course your development effort is like, let's say, 10%, but of course, how good is that result? To check that your testing effort, or having tools to check how good is the build quality with the usage of tool.
Right.
So talking about KPI, I will definitely say whether it is generating revenue, or whether it is saving cost, or whether it is reducing those handshakes between multiple teams. That is where I will say, it you can define your KPI based on your own organization or your own
Yeah.
problem statement.
You gave to a very interesting conversation on the AI pods and how things are significantly changing the way how product development is happening. So I'm just very curious to also understand how is this adoption among people, because I know we are speaking about the sprint cycles are changing, these extreme prototypes are coming. End of the day, the bots are also getting a seat in the table. How are people taking it? Is it something the change management, and how the adoption coming from individuals? Because end of the day, there is people who have emotions, people who have way of working. Are they like? I just wanted to know how to handle that change management aspect.
See, if I say, like, nobody is anxious or nobody has any concern, absolutely that is not true, because over no matter what is anyone's position, there is a concern among everybody. But I will say this concern or this fear is not new, because this change, it's part of evolution. Even when the industrial revolution came, when power looms came, people who were building those things, with hand, obviously
Right.
they were impacted. When motorized vehicles came, the horse driven carts, those things, they were impacted. So yes, the change is there in the industry. And this is where the role of a leader comes into picture, as to how are you going to embrace that change. Are you using AI as a reduction measure, or are you using it for an augmented measure? Because you have the potential to, if the same whatever was your output required, if the same output you are able to get with
Right.
half number of people, with 1/4 of a time, as a leader, it is up to you what you are going to do with the rest of the time and with the rest of the people. And that is where it is not that your, definitely teams are anxious, but that is why you have to enable them. That is why new roles are coming. If some roles are, if entry level roles are getting impacted, there are new roles are coming. For example, a new role called as the forward deployment engineer that came, because Google has invested millions, OpenAI has invested millions. That is a very new role coming. Earlier, people who were working on, like, I have a data background, I have worked on data transition, data ingestion, and me moving into AI was a very natural transition. Similarly, people who are working in, let's say, product management now, earlier they used to take one full 10 member team and, let's say, 1 quarter to build the MVP of a product, and now they are empowered to build that MVP without any team, just themselves. They are able to build an MVP themselves just within 2 weeks. So their productivity is like multiplied, and there is a lot of potential. So what I say is that definitely there is that concern, definitely that anxiety is there, but that is where the role of a leader, that is where responsive AI is important, that is where AI governance is important. As how are we using the AI, how are we using a tool? End of the day, it is a tool, and it is, I will say, there is a lot of responsibility and governance which is required, and all of us have to embrace the change. All of us has to let's say empower ourselves with new skills. Like I myself have done, like many of the technical certifications. Like I have not done coding for, let's say, 10 years, but I have started learning how to do the same thing by using an AI tool. So I will say, end of the day, let us be relevant, let us upskill ourselves, let us know what are the new tools coming, and as organizations, give
True.
our team, give our resources that room for experiment, as well as being responsive and having a proper AI governance in picture.
Now, you touched on a very important word, being relevant. So
Yes,
if I can go a little more deeper, my point of views
absolutely.
on this. So I think we all were in the forest, living as hunters and gatherers. So the relevancy back then was we need to have sharp eyes, being able to run quickly, catch a prey or pluck the fruit or whatever. You had to be very, very strong and quick. And one of the earliest revolution was in agriculture, and that revolution meant the relevancy changed from the skill set.
Yes,
So no more it was about being strong and sharp eyes. It was more about patience and being able to think longer term. It's not about looking for the food when you're hungry, but planning a harvest for the winter, during the for the winters as well, for the entire year, right? So somebody who was able to adapt to that skills actually thrived more and became and eventually the world moved and became more we all became agriculture driven, right? And from there, like you said, um, pre-industrial era, it was all about, there were people who were doing pottery or iron smith, or it may be tyler, or all these were like individuals who were doing the entire piece from end to from the beginning till the end. So the skill sets were different. Post industrialization, the skills what were expected is either you have to be really specialized in design or operating a machine or marketing or
yes,
planning, budgeting. So that relevance, what you said, the human ingenuity of ability to quickly understand and make that shift is there. It's only that we have to bring that out from ourselves. And we ourselves, if you see during
yes,
COVID, before COVID, if you'd
adapted,
asked me, I would have told no way possible, and it's
yes.
impossible to work from home, right? So,
Yes,
but we did that during
yes,
COVID. So yeah, so that's how I also see within my team. Channelize your um, the thought process to be more relevant and build that skill set so that you can also uh, thrive. And actually every disruptions comes with, at the same, along with the challenge, there is a huge opportunity coming our way as well.
yes.
So that's something we have to look into. So yeah, now coming back to the conversation on AI transformation. So I also was seeing you also run a lot of AI center of excellence. So if somebody is new and if they have to get into setting up a center of excellence, what are the common mistakes they should avoid, and what are the best practices, if you can talk through?
Sure, sure. So when I think all the organization, they are taken by this hype of that we need to be in AI enabled. We need to have an AI center of excellence. So the pressure is there. There is every board meeting, that thing is that, hey, what are we doing with respect to AI? What is happening with respect to AI? So the one mistake which happens, people have taken, is that they AI transformation, they take it as an end goal. I mean, they think that just by buying couple of licenses or setting up, giving your own team member an AI tool, that is the end goal of transformation, which is
Right.
not true. You can do that, you can definitely do that if you have, like, big cash. You can definitely do that. Any organization is welcome to burn money, but instead of focusing on just AI adoption or just using an AI tool, if the focus could be solving problem, if the focus could be, before giving your employees a tool, what are we going to, how are the employees going to use this tool about? Let's say you have this coding assistants like, Windsurf or a PR agent, simply giving your employees like, hey guys, use it, but without any governance, without customizing the tool as per your org standard, without having your or own organization's data in place, the tool is not going to work. I
Mm.
mean, it could work, but you are losing out on the potential.
Right.
Sometimes organizations, they want dashboards after dashboard, but the own data is not in place. So instead of
True.
thinking about an AI first organization, first fix your own data first, because
Right.
to work the AI, your own RAG should be in place. If your own organization's data is nowhere meeting any standard, your tool will not work
Yeah.
as per your organization's requirement. It will simply take up anything from out of there, and it will give you something which may or may not be relevant. So before setting up any AI CoE, first you need to do a proper due diligence. That includes, is your organization ready for setting up an AI CoE? Most of the cases, there is a homework required. This homework means fixing your data, having a proper governance. What are your priorities as an organization? Whether you are a B2C or you are a B2B, you should have some priorities, and the AI adoption or the AI transformation should be tied to that priority rather than just a tool usage. So these are
Mm.
some of the mistake which companies do. And to avoid this mistake, first level is, please spend some time planning. Yes, your stakeholder is asking, your board people are asking, hey, adopt AI. But before that, do a due diligence, check whether your data is incorrect or not. Before adopting AI, it is be good if you can start preparing your AI governance model to your own RAGs in place. And after
Mm.
that, train your employees or train your people before giving a tool and asking them to self learn from the tool. It's really important to invest in a proper training on how to use. Let's say you gave the tool for coding, but they don't know how to estimate when you are using a tool. It's not the same, right? When you have um, so you are doing something manually and you have got a tool which is like 10 or 50 times more efficient, then your estimation technique also changes. So train them on a new estimation technique, train them on how to write better user stories, or help them how to use the AI to do these things. So yeah, it's a I will say it's a very step by step process. Proper planning is required.
Right. No, I can remember our own journey when we started telling all our team members start using AI. We did the same mistake of
Yes.
just telling them go start using AI, and all of employees were confused what to use, how to use, what is allowed, what is not allowed, token usage, and so then so I was feeling very frustrated that team is not using. But what I saw after having conversation is that they don't have a kind of a path or a what can be done. So then we had to set up some governance and also some kind of a way, hey, which tools are allowed for what kind of purpose. We made a kind of a framework and gave, say, if it is involves PII, it can only be within certain kind. If it
Yes.
is not, then it is in a, then if it is general research, you can use the
Yes.
regular ones. How which data can sit inside a rag, which can sit in something else. So once we put that, it definitely became more clearer for them. And
Yeah.
also, Second piece also was also building that program of getting them a learning curriculum plus an incentive structure. So we also were able to inculcate that. That has definitely led to some better implementation, because we all think that, at least in the beginning, that's a learning for me, that if we just give the tools and think magically things will start happening. But the bigger challenge is definitely on that adoption and that people coming together to use and ensure that final impact is delivered, right? So that's a much bigger challenge than the actual ones. Yeah, I agree.
Can I share one story, Subu?
Yeah,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Stepping up apart from the AI world, once a photographer was invited by a hostess for dinner. And when the photographer arrived, the hostess said, "Hey, I love your photo. Your photos are all in all the magazine. You must be having an amazing camera." The photographer did not say anything. He came, he enjoyed the food, and at the end, he said, "Madam, your food is so delicious. I'm sure you have a great microwave." So that is a very, standard example that, a tool does not make you, a tool does not give you result. It is ultimately how you use the tool, and there is a
Yeah,
learning curve in that. No matter it is, even if it is the best tool in the world, there has to be a learning curve. You need to
right.
spend that time, you need to have that, you need to
True.
invest in that learning to get the best out of the tool. So
True.
that lines, completely with what you said.
I agree. Because of this AI, I'm sure there is a lot of hype as well,
Yes.
and everybody has become a overnight AI experts also, and they keep telling, go and learn this, do that. Or there are also situations where you're not very sure, or you're feeling maybe I'm not caught up enough with the world, I'm lagging
Yes.
behind. Generally, I go through this on a daily basis, if I have to be
Yes.
honest. How do you handle, or how do you address, cope up anything?
Yeah. Yes, the hype is real. I think no matter any social media you open, everybody is saying like, "Hey, use this hack, use this AI tool with this hack." Everybody is giving prompts for Claude. Everybody say, "Use this prompt and do this." So yes, the hype is real. I have also saved like tens and twenties of things which I don't think I'll be ever finding while to do. So yes, hype is real, and all the leaders, I think, even when they see in their circle, when they attend events, they see everybody, all their peers
Yeah,
launching products after products, all their leaders doing press releases. This
yeah,
company invested so and so, this company acquired so and so tool, invested in this technique. So yes, the hype is real.
true.
What as That is where the governance comes into picture. That is why it is important to have guardrails on where should you, as you were truly sending, what you should be
Right,
using it, what you should not be using it. Though any organization is, encouraged to experiment around it. Couple of things which leadership can think about is any initiative, any project. First one is, does it solve a real problem? Does it actually, if we are using this tool, will it actually help me do my job better? Second,
mm,
will it be relevant for our line of work? Can it be connected, or can it lie on top of our existing workflow? Because sometimes
right,
that becomes a challenge. There are these vibe coding tools everywhere. You can vibe code and release a new product, release a new feature, but how is that connecting with your existing layer? Like, I have worked in banks, and we have vibe coded like so many things, but can you
right,
vibe code a feature and put it on top of your core banking app? I wouldn't answer that question, but yes, that is something a leader has to evaluate. Third is, can your outcome be measured practically? Can you, as we were discussing earlier, KPIs, whatever initiative are we doing, can we measure the KPIs frequently? For example, last week, Atlassian conference was there. If you remember, Atlassian has acquired a bunch of other companies, bunch of other tools. They want to be with the AI in all the productivity and tracking tool, Atlassian wants to be like the mother of all tracking tools, and that is
True.
why they have purchased a lot of things and they have increased the hype. But still, for example, this DX platform in Atlassian, this DX platform, it gives the exact, or even not exact, it claims that it will give you the productivity increase by use of AI tools. Now, that could be a hype, but it's worth a try. If you feel that something is really making sense, maybe try a pilot and check whether it is really solving a problem, if it is really giving you the result realistically. Based on that, you can take a decision, that inspect and adapt, the old agile way. It never goes wrong. If you are not sure of anything, try it out. Everybody is giving a pilot, try the pilot and see if it is solving a real problem. If it is not, let's move on.
Yeah. Now, speaking of this, on our my challenge is on the other side, right? So I work with a lot of enterprises. Every time I meet a AI leader or business leaders, right? So they come and tell me that every company is speaking about AI. Everyone is like, people are finding it very difficult to differentiate between every company now, because everybody is saying AI enabled, AI implemented. So everybody's AI native, right? So the way how I at least have seen way to differentiate is not focus only on AI, but rather focus on the outcome. So how I talk to most of our customers is, so I don't talk about AI anymore. I tell that I deliver real impact, and you don't pay until I deliver a real impact, right? So it's like real skin in the game,
All right.
and
Yeah.
everything which is done behind is AI native. But end of the day, the KPIs, the metrics, the impact, the outcome is what can be a real differentiator as we go. So yeah, it's a very different world we are now getting into. So um, one of the final questions coming into my mind as we go, say for a young professional who wants to build a career in AI product transformation, having lived that world, but they're starting new, and they're any suggestion or any pointers or a pathway?
So I'll quote the same words which Dario Amodei, the founder of Anthropic, has mentioned in the viral demo in which he was giving. He gave a demo of what Claude can do, and he said that in 2026 and beyond, the greatest skill can anyone develop it is defining a problem, is defining what you actually want to do, coming up with a problem statement. The bigger the problem, the more successful you are. So earlier it was like, the faster you can code, or the more sophisticated your code is, the more successful you are. But now that that layer is automated, it is like how good you understand your customers, how good
Yeah.
you understand your, the market, the problem
Yep.
statement, or when you are able to bridge the gap between the customer problem, operating execution, and the technology stays in the middle somewhere. So
Right.
anybody who is starting a career, or this is something to be relevant, as we were using the word relevance, I will say think more, like,
Yep.
observe more, rather than trying to learn any new coding language or trying to learn any new tool. Observe around you and find out what problems are there,
Mm,
which problem you can solve, how you can add value. Now that
yeah.
you have a tool to add that value, you have a tool to solve that problem, just find out what is it that in the real world, learn to observe more. And that skill of finding a problem is something will enable any young professional or any leader to kind of become relevant and become successful. That is what even I'm also trying to do, by the way.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's a very, very deep one, a deep answer, right? So for somebody to so go and define a problem correctly, if I have to think, the skill sets they need are also about being able to, one, observe, like you said, go, just not see the at a surface level, but being able to go very deep and to go deep, you need focus, you need that curiosity, and also empathy, because end of the day, to find a problem, you need to deeply empathize with that people who
Absolutely.
have that problem, and live through that experience, or at least being able to visualize that experience as if you are living that problem, right? So, and yeah, it's a lot to do on the soft skill part than only the
Yes.
technical part, which is truly human for us, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, that's a definitely a great one for me. I have a lot to munch on and think about how do I also stay
Yes.
relevant on that angle to build those certain skill sets. I definitely enjoyed this conversation, Surya, and thank you so much for joining and sharing your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you so much, Subu. It was a very, even I enjoyed the conversation. Even a lot of things came to me when I was, having the conversation. A lot of things I was also, analyzing more and, thinking, going deep. So, yeah, definitely really enjoyed. Had a good time.
Yeah, it helps us declutter the thought process as we
Yes, a
are having
lot.
that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Pratik, are you here?
Hey, Pratik. Pratik, you are on mute.
Okay, hi. It was a great conversation. I was listening to it. Wonderful. One thing that stuck with me, Surya, what you said, experiment should be the part of our day to day life, right? A lot of things are changing due to AI. A lot of things will change in coming future. But I think there is an opportunity in this disruption, as Subbu said. Thank you. Thank you for your time, Surya and Subbu.
Thanks for having me, Pratik. Thanks, Subu. I loved the discussion. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.